ask you a personal question? Because one of the moments in the debate that stood out to me is because we all come from our lived experience, our family history means a lot. And listening to you talk about your mom really was something I thought was powerful. Now, I'll share this with you. I was working in Miami the day that Fidel Castro died. And Dan Lebitard, who's a pretty big name in sports radio, came on and described what it was like for his family escaping Cuba and how cruel it was. His story was eerily similar to the story of your mom. Share your mom's story and how it affects you and the person you are today, because you know what it's like to have someone take their liberty, have your liberty snatched away from you by a communist dictator. Yeah. Your mom's told you that story. And I think it probably affects how you treat this office as Attorney General, because that's the biggest thing, sir. You have in your hands, you have the opportunity to restore someone's liberty or take someone's liberty. I want to know how that affects you and how you approach your job.
I would not be Attorney General today if it wasn't for the Miyares family history. It is the whole reason why I even became a lawyer. Was my mother's story, my uncle's story, her brother, Angel Miyares, who got arrested during the Bay of Pigs invasion and went through a mock execution. And I remember asking him as a child, because all I knew about the law and cops were from TV, well, why didn't they, give you a trial or read you your rights? And he said, you don't understand how blessed you are. You're born in this country, and we do it differently here. And that's what got me on this path. And my mother raised me with something that I pass on to my own children, which is that gratitude is the most underrated of all human traits, and that ingratitude is the ugliest of all human traits. And so I was raised to just have the appreciation that I could breathe the air as a free man, that I had flesh and blood family members 90 miles off the coast of this country that didn't have that freedom, that could be jailed for saying the wrong thing to the wrong person or saying they disagreed with Castro. And it's what I call, and I have it on all of my challenge coins, preserving the American miracle. What we have is a miracle. My mother fled in the fall of 1965, penniless and homeless, with nothing but the clothes on her back. And almost 50 years to the day that she fled, in the fall of 2015, she was able to go in the voting booth and vote for me to represent her in the House of Delegates. And so, this October 11th was the now 60th anniversary of her fleeing Cuba, and she gets to now vote. She now gets to vote for her son to continue to be the top law enforcement officer in the state of Virginia. And the other thing that she taught me is how dangerous it is that a political agenda and ideas matter more than the dignity of human beings. And we settled a long time ago in this country that we settle our differences not through violence. And she described, and this is one thing that always stuck with me, that the communists that were nationalizing people home and arresting people in the middle of the night, they all thought they were the good guys. In their mind, they were the righteous ones because they were using pain and violence to change society for the better. So you could see why Jay Jones' text message and that exchange he had where he was challenged saying, Jay, you're literally saying you're hoping Jennifer Gilbert's children die in her arms. And his response was, yes, because it's only through pain that change occurs, as I've told you before. That's what he wrote. Now, that should give every one of your listeners pause that somebody is seeking raw political power that has this view that pain is how change occurs. That human beings, people that think differently than politically, aren't human beings. That you're okay, even cheer violence among children as young as 2 and 5 years old. Because only through change, pain, does change occur. That is why I have said he has disqualified himself. And so that story, my mother's story of what it was like to live in an autocratic regime, what it's like with people in power saying, oh, we're all doing this, the quote unquote, for the name of equity, right? And it's all doing it for your own good, right? It destroyed society. The year Fidel Castro took power, Cuba had the same GDP as Greece. The year Fidel Castro died, Cuba had the same GDP as Sudan. For anybody who thinks socialism works, right? It doesn't. But so, yes, so much. And I acknowledge we all come from different backgrounds and shared experiences. But it is that experience, her fleeing Cuba, always the honor of my life. I get to speak at naturalization ceremonies. The last one I spoke at, I spent July 4th at Fort Monroe, 98 new Americans from 47 countries. And I love to say it's the honor of my life as Attorney General to welcome you home, to welcome you to freedom. Sometimes people that are third, fourth, fifth generation don't quite grasp what a unique, beautiful thing we have in this country. We have the American miracle, and now we need to preserve it.
You know, I've read Desi Arnaz's biography. His dad was a mayor. They ransacked his house. They took everything they had. They fled the same way that your mom did. Dan Levitar told the story that his family had 4 passes to leave. When they got ready to get in the plane, one of the guards grabbed him, took the passes, tore one in half, threw it on the ground, laughed, said, "Pick which one stays." That is
evil. Just evil.
Taking somebody's liberty. For you to understand that resonates with me more than I think. And the fact that you think about your uncle, they put a gun to his head and pretended to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's something that I don't think we appreciate in America. We don't have that happen here. We don't have kings, and we don't have authoritarian governments that will take our liberty at a whim like that. Nobody's going to come grab my citizenship papers and tear them up.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they came to my mother's house and they posted the last thing they did before she went to the airport is they did an inventory of everything in our house. They put a seal on the door that said property of the Socialist Revolution. And imagine this, somebody comes to your home and everything you have in that house, every piece of jewelry, every personal note, every picture you have in a frame is now no longer yours. It's the property of the quote unquote revolution. And so at that point, you have nothing other than what you have, the clothes you have. And so Levitar's story is my mother's story, and it affects you. It's part of the reason why Cuban Americans are so patriotic and so love this country, because they have seen those experiences, either themselves or through their parents and their abuelitas. They have seen that experience. They've heard the stories, and it's been passed on, and it's now just part of our DNA, what we have and why we need to preserve it. And God bless this country, and God bless Virginia. This is such an amazing place. Virginians have such pride of who we are, particularly as we head to America's birthday next year, that we founded this nation. It's a beautiful state, obviously geographically, but the people are just breathtakingly, amazingly good and decent and beautiful people. I've always had that mindset. I keep a sign in my office that I see every time I walk in and sit at my desk, and it's my favorite quote from Thomas Jefferson, and it is this: "I've never found the difference of opinion in politics, in philosophy, or religion as cause to withdraw from a friend." And it's just a reminder that even if I disagree with somebody on politics, I'm not going to withdraw the gift of friendship from them, much less the gift of protection of my office from them. And that's my mindset. I aim to protect all people. My number one job is to stop violence. I can't imagine somebody running for this office that's advocated for violence over something like politics. That just is so far outside the norm of what you would expect to see in an elected official. And yet here we are, and this is now our moment of choosing as Virginians.
Not many places in the world, sir, can the son of a penniless immigrant refugee have her son run for Attorney General of the Commonwealth and serve in the longest-standing representative body in the Western Hemisphere. It's a pretty amazing place.
Thank you. It is. It's an American miracle. Now we need to preserve it. For all your supporters, go to standwithjason.com if they want to pass the test of decency and support me. But more than anything else, make sure you go vote. Your vote is your voice. Make sure your voice is not silent.
Thank you, sir, very much, sir, and we'll hopefully catch up with you before the election.
God bless you.
Thanks you so much. Jason Miyares joining us here on News Radio WRVA.